Welcome everybody to the Spellbound Survivor Stockwatch, the Stockwatch, the show with no name. As always, I am joined here with my co-host Jared Voorhees, and today we have a special celebrity guest. She making
Oh,
her debut in the Stockwatch proper. Because we technically did do we have an episode zero that does not was not recorded, not filmed at all, not going to be posted unless we do it retroactively, which would be weird. Tawny is here. Tawny, how are you feeling? Well, great to hear, Tawny. Glad to hear. All right, so Jared, how did you feel about this last round?
oh God, I have to remember it. It was chaos, especially mainly from the
Hmm.
tribe that lost.
Oh boy. So we'll definitely have to get
Ooh.
into the logistics of what happened down there. And we'll talk about our favorite onomatopoeias on the way there. You know, my personal favorite is boom, but maybe you guys might have been swayed by something else that's happened since. Either way,
Um,
I'm good. Well,
Actually,
you
the
were good,
best was Lily's rant that it wasn't on camera.
and we'll get to her too. We have our stock watch here. So I know that usually on stream, we usually kind of like decipher or decide what order we would be doing this. What we can do is we go first place, second place, third place tribes, and kind of do like a snake draft. So we'll start from alphabetical order, then do reverse alphabetical order, and then do alphabetical order of the tribe that lost. And rotating which of us three decide to go first to give the Stockwatch ratings. I will wait a sec, do this live, just have them out of there because they're not in attendance now. But Jared, if you would like to start off with Bryant, for those who aren't aware, we're filming this after we found out the winner of the next immunity challenge, and the swap has already taken place. So all of this is reflecting back on the previous round, round five, where we have our 14th placer here. But we will be trying to mostly determine our stocks based off of the events that took place during this round, as opposed to hindsight bias from the following round. So, Jared, tell me about Brian.
I mean, solely looking at trust rankings, Bryant was tied with Sanam for most trusted, but theirs was also weird because it was tied for first, tied for third slash last. I don't know. It's like top two were tied, bottom two were tied. It was interesting. Um, Sorry, getting the tribes. Okay. So, I mean, this wasn't a bad run for Bryant. He continued his he was putting his planting seeds with J1 to potentially work with him. He was still like working with Sanam and Kevin, but knew that they were a big threat. Um, if they had gone to tribal, I think he would have been fine. I think they would have targeted J1, but then J1 obviously would have played his idol, most likely. Um, but I don't think Kevin would have left, or not Kevin, sorry. I don't think Jay would have left. Um, and then looking at the swap tribe, he's with Kevin again, reunited with Jeremy, which is good for him. He gets Tommy, so that's interesting dynamic. Um, and he also has a Leah Mikey, but he hasn't met either one of them, I don't believe. Um, so I mean, he's not really not in a bad position whatsoever. Um, Looking at last time, I gave him a six. I think I'll stick with a six. I don't think he did anything negative to lose points, but I'm also open to changing it.
Arnie, how do you feel about Brian?
I don't know yet.
Want me to stall? Just to give you some time to
Yeah, I'm trying to reset my brain back to what, like 48 hours ago.
bear.
It's so hard,
It
honestly.
is a little trippy. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it the night of or the night after, so we're forced to do it 2 days after the fact. I can go. Because Bryant, honestly, he gets the Cam's zap gun and is actually was lying to Kevin and Snam about the contents or the powers of the advantage. So I think that he actually now has leverage within the bananas. I thought like positionally wise, like Bryant was aware of the fact that he was fourth in this group and is planting the seed with J1. I said last week I agreed with his move to get rid of Aston, at least to like prove to the bananas, hey, like I'm rocking with y'all, y'all are my people, you know. And I feel that he is setting up the dominoes to eventually take a shot at them when necessary in the future. And I think that the zap gun is instrumental in getting that to happen. So if they were to have lost, Bryant has tons of leverage, not just having this great relationship with J1, but could potentially use the zap gun. This could have been the opportunity to make a big move, and taking out, one of Kevin or Sanam prior to swap. But with the way that it played out, he didn't need to do that, which is great. And now he's in a favorable position during the swap. I have been giving him sixes for quite some time now. I don't know if I've given him three in a row, which if that's the case, I'm sorry, Bryant. But honestly, he's done nothing but impress me. He has awareness, and we'll get to Kevin, and I think this note that we had for Kevin last round, I think is only more prevalent this round, and considering the swap as well. I'm actually gonna bump him up to a seven. Yeah, I also could see a worldwide bumping him up to an eight if convinced. But Tawny,
I don't think I'll convince you to bump him up. Like it's just harder, I feel like, on tribes that obviously aren't the ones going to tribal because you can't really they're not able to like, I guess, show their trust in a way. Even though like after the whole Aston thing, like that was fine. It was kind of, I guess, like a dead weight situation. Like they're just not there. Um, it's like I think had they I mean, if that tribe were to have gone back to tribal, like Bryant would have been fine. But I think that's like, even if he is like higher on like the trust rankings and he's been not consistently like at like number one spot, but he's been up there for the most part. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's just kind of coasting at this point. Um, like I just don't like I'm dropping him down from where I had him the week before. I just feel like he's like I mean there hasn't been anything he's needed to do, and now that knowing what we know now, it's like he's still just fine.
yeah, it's kind of like interesting because like this also is a criticism that I will give to uh Kevin when we get to him, and I think it's actually even more so the case with him than it is at least for Riot. But Tawny, would you like to go first for J1?
Really quickly, sorry.
Oh, no
I
problem.
would say my six is like a 6.5
Mhm.
for Bryant, but it's still like a very sliding scale because like I like the lie because I forgot about the lie about the zap gun. Um, but yeah, like Tony said,
Sanam
it's just
even
hard to
kind of
judge
like
people.
called it, saying that she doesn't trust him with it.
Wait, what?
Like she,
Right.
Sanam, like in her prod chat, had even said that like she doesn't believe what Bryant is telling her about what the zap gun
Uh,
does. I
I'm
think the
go.
rest of them bought it, but
I'm
she,
glad to
I
give
know,
him a
did say
six.
something about it.
That's okay. But Tawny, would you like to go first for J1?
I don't want to go first for anybody.
That's crazy. All right, so
I
I'll
will
I'll go.
gladly go last for everybody.
Got it. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. So me and Jared will rotate who goes first, and then
Yeah,
Tawny, you'll close us off.
sounds
That's good.
great.
Excellent, magnificent. All right, so J1 was in a interesting spot. Someone who should have been safe if they were to go again, but obviously it would have come at the expense of his idol. Glad that he wins. Sanam specifically was starting to get a little annoyed at him, specifically like during the challenge, because at least from my perception, someone could correct me if I'm wrong. Sanam was kind of like reading into what J1's strategy was in the competition. It was just like being a bit particular with when to shoot people And Sanam was just like either way, like the way that J1 was conducting himself during the challenge of strategizing gave Sanam this idea like, oh, I cannot trust J1. I see what you're doing. We're gonna vote you off if we lose, which she would have been in for a rude awakening if they were to have lost. Um, but J1 is on exile right now and has no contact with any. Like, good news, he could just use the idol if he were to lose at Final 12 and he's in jury, like yippee, Yahoo type stuff. But J1 is losing lots of important bonding time with some of these people. And he's going to be really behind. I don't know how much of that's to factor into this ranking specifically. I think last week I gave him a 7 because I thought he did a lot of good work to kind of have Bryant vying for him specifically and having Bryant be planting those seeds already and having this 3 with Kevin and Sanam. But now Sanam's kind of not trusting him as much. Not that I'm surprised that they would have gone for J1, but Sanam to be as averse as she was with J1 and saying that he's sus. I'm scared that this will be a recurring trend with J1. That there's people who he may earnestly and genuinely want to work with and really trust and vibe with, but they themselves perceive what he's doing as sketchy or suspicious in some way. I'm going to bump him down to a 6. Could be lower, but I'm trying to not let the fact that he's on exile right now, where literally he could do absolutely nothing. um, Talking to nobody, no strategizing, or nothing that can, I guess, of his own volition, sabotage his game. But Jared, what do you think about J1?
I mean, again, he was tied for last in trust rankings on this tribe. Sanam, like you said, really was not happy during this challenge, even though their tribe won. She was complaining a lot, which I can't blame her. Sometimes you're just so frustrated during that challenge. Um, I mean, I think that he survives if they would have gone to tribal, so that's good. But yeah, he's on exile, and I can't. I want to say more, but I can't. Um, but again, it's hard to remember this round, but also not take into some consideration things that have happened since then. Um, so I gave him, I think, a 7 last week if I'm remembering because I
I
just looked at it.
I think
Um,
everyone got 7s from Raluve, aside from Brian, which is kind of
um, I think I'll go with a 6. I mean, I think the Sanam not trusting him kind of hurt him, but he maybe would have been safe. But I don't think he did anything spectacular to keep him at 7.
right. Tawny, now you're up. Tell us about J1.
I guess I will do that. I, this tribe is just so interesting because it is like looking at last week, aside from Aston, everyone's like at 7s and 6s. And I feel like that's exactly where we're going again with probably this entire tribe. Like, there's just there's just nothing going on with them. It was like from the agreement of basically getting rid of Aston, Jaewon being able to then take off his Nightworm ring because of it, which now has allowed him to be able to use his idol. Like, he would have been fine. Like, he I'm sure he probably still would have like tried to put in work to make sure he wouldn't have to use his idol, but I'm assuming he would have had to use his idol or he would be gone. If it were to have come to that. But there's just there's just not much there with this tribe and it's so annoying. And it's really upsetting. And so he
Honestly,
just gets a 6.
you bring up a very interesting point because it's like the people who are technically doing better and had bet stronger starts to their game are on the back foot technically. Like Kevin, for example. Okay, so we're gonna talk about it right now. And Jared, you'll go first for that. But he's like, he technically started better off than J1 and Bryant did on their respective OG tribes. But because he's the only one without some like counter to any of the advantages or idols that are on this tribe, it's like Kevin didn't do anything wrong aside from just not be quicker with buying a random scroll on the shop. Like that's like I can't dock him like for him making some socially strategic like bad decision. It's just like the circumstance of who he ended up swapping with. He could have swapped Sanam with literally anyone from OG Paravi, and his position would have still been similar to what it is. But it's like Sanam and J1 both having idols, and Bryant's now having the Zap gun kind of makes Kevin a sitting duck. But Jared, you talk to us. What do you feel about Kevin?
Again, this is I low-key just want to give everyone sixes on this tribe. Um, okay, I mean, if we go through hypothetically, okay, this tribe went to tribal instead of Baravi. We could have maybe seen rocks between Bryant and Kevin because if Jay plays his idol on himself, I feel like Sanam would have maybe played her idol, which then maybe in a revo, she keeps Kevin, Jay Kate keeps Bryant. Wait, oh God, now I wish that would have happened. Jesus, I talked myself into wanting that to have happened. Um, but Kevin was possibly vulnerable in that situation then. Um, but I think that again, he's just struggling on this tribe because there are so few options. He really needed more options and really to be taken away from this majority three that he's in. But he didn't do anything bad, but I think I just have to give him a six. He's nothing like I feel like to have like a seven, you have to do like better than what he did.
I think Kevin has been the perfect example of like Tawny said, coasting, which I think is a fair character. I don't know what word I was looking for, but I guess maybe that might be even better to use because he hasn't been in any position of adversity yet. Like he was on the majority on his OG tribe and swapped both times to be favorable numbers wise with like his OG numbers, like people within his core. He has not had to, unlike Jeremy, unlike Sanam, and even unlike Bryant within his own group, have to like kind of work from a precarious position and try their best to survive, whether it be winning challenges or by trying to like politically find himself in a better position. No, he's kind of been sticking with his crew. Like he gained J1 as a number potentially. And with this swap tribe that he's on going to tribal council tomorrow, or at least tomorrow as of the time that this is being recorded. Um, I don't see him venturing off much past this alliance, which concerns me. A part of me wants to actually bump him down to a five, not because of realistically anything that he's doing that's actively bad, but I just think one thing that I've learned about Kevin, and Kevin was just like this in season three, he gets a grip on the game, but he gets comfortable, he gets complacent. And so the loosest he could possibly keep a tight grip, that's the grip that he will hold on to, which will open the door for other people to tighten their grips. Bryant is making sure that he can tighten his grip and is exercising all options that are on the board because he knows that right now he is at the bottom of the Bananas Alliance. Kevin feels comfortable. Kevin has not had to sweat really at all just because the numbers have constantly been on his side. He's been very lucky when Will talks about some people who were swap screwed and people who were screwed by advantages, people who were, but even in spite of that, still worked very hard to get themselves out of that tricky situation. Whereas Kevin is kind of just like chilling and not really needing to do much. So I'll give him a, it's boring because I'll give him a six, but like Tawny, Kevin.
I was just sitting here thinking, trying to remember because I know that we swapped comps around, and I really wanted to, just because of how bad Kevin was at charades, even though that was the last round and I wasn't here for that, I really just want to knock him down for being really bad at that, even though that has nothing to do with this round. Um,
Because this
but
last challenge was what? It
this was
was
shoot,
charades.
reflect, nothing.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Um, but he did get taken out of that. And then also because this was like the first, was it? No. When
What?
because there was someone there was I think that has to do with technically the round that we're currently in because multiple people had made a comment about how much Kevin talks.
Oh
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was
that's
Um
this round.
that is round six. So we're yeah.
yeah, so I
So it's like,
can't
yeah.
dox him for that.
You could dock him for dying though. I didn't even consider that. His
They sure did attack him.
they did. They murked him, which like
Which like I want to speak about that with Jeremy and what I heard from Jeremy about that.
You know what? You told me I can, so I will. And because this is looking a little gray to me, that just a redder shade of gray there.
a redder shade of gray. All right. But
Yeah.
speaking of
Are
gray,
you
when
colorblind? Like, not to be rude, but
No, that seven is a green shade of gray, or
okay,
like a brownish gray, and then the
uh,
five is like a reddish gray.
okay.
okay, I could see it. I get it. All right. But speaking of gray, because man, this is we maybe we shouldn't have started with. I definitely shouldn't have ended with them. I'm glad with that, but I guess to get the ball roll, it'll get more interesting. We're getting this tribe out the way. They're the filler tribe. If this was an actual show, they'd all get purpled this episode because there's really nothing going on over there. Sanam, very similar thing. Um, is in a more is in a more dangerous spot on her new swap tribe. But here, she also had an idol. She also had tons of allies with her. But Bryant was planting those seeds to get Sanam out specifically, because Sanam has this idol. The Sanam having an idol is now common knowledge between a good a decent amount of the cast, because now not just Bryant being privy to this information through Sanam, but also now Edward knows about this and is spreading it to, Lily, now the Raluve people, or like the Caleb, Sergio, Ryu, I think are all privy to the fact that now Sanam has an idol as well, and they're trying to get around that. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong.
But I don't think you can factor that into this
Oh
round.
no, I know, but it's just like I think just because what I was worried about after leading this round became reality of like Sanam now being seen as the most dangerous of the four. Bryant has already planted some seeds to get that to happen with people not even on her swap tribe. And yet now that's already being a thing. Like other people perceiving her as a big, dangerous player that they need to take out because she has an idol. And so either they will try to blindside her and get her out with an idol in her pocket, or they will just vote her off and force her to play it to survive and then take her out shortly afterwards. Um, I'm worried for her. And I don't remember. No, no. Okay, because she also mentioned people referencing Hypnotic, but that's again around six thing, not around five thing. Um, I kind of want to hear, Jared, what you think with your rankings because this could be a pretty low ranking for Sedan, at least in my opinion.
I mean, Sanam, is swapped in the minority. Um, she's solo on the swap tribe. What is it? It's 3-2 to 1.
Yes.
Okay, 3-2 to 1. Um, and I am glad we started with this tribe. Um, she this cast is interesting because they Bryant is really like the only one who has kept a secret in this game, it feels like. Whereas like literally everyone is telling everyone about their advantages. Um, so Mm, obviously, she had to because they did the mass buy. People know about the idol. Um, oh God, I think I probably what did I give her last week?
You give her a
Probably like a
7, I'm pretty
7.
sure.
God, I'm honestly debating a 5 or a 6.
I was also debating a 5, actually. It's like,
She's in a bad position. Her info's getting leaked. I mean, like her info, like I think was, leaked to Edward this round. And that puts more of a target on her back.
I feel like she's comfortable too. That was the thing. Like she was so confident that they were going to be able to get rid of J1 during this round, and seemed to be very kind of like Kevin, kind of content and complacent with the position that she was in the game. And while Bryant and J1 are hustling, are like we're actually actively working hard to try to better or improve their positions, Snam and Kevin are kind of just existing, like kind of like drifting and coasting, as Tony said, from their prior work in the previous rounds, which is
Hmm.
good, because like Kevin and Sanam in each of their own ways are charming and are very lovely human beings to talk to. I'm not gonna take that away from them, but because they're being pegged so clearly as a duo, and Sanam specifically is the subject of being this dangerous person that people need to take out. I was already worried for that, and considering that round 6 is starting to prove my assessment to be correct that this is what was going to end up happening today. I feel like I have to we got to spice up this chart somehow. So I'm gonna give Cinema 5.
I think I'll go the 5 as well.
Tawny, you've been summoned.
Oh, I am muted. I was talking. Um, crazy thing is that's also what I was thinking about. Just like in the sense of like, I feel like she's too comfortable. The like how y'all were saying that Bryant has already started to like, which is kind of actually making me want to do this. Like that Bryant's like already planting the seeds of trying to get her out. Like it's just so sad seeing how like she was I mean she was like in the middle like middle high range like the first couple rounds and then she like popped off and now she's like dipped back down at the sneeze so bad and it won't come out.
I'm sorry. Grab a feather or use a tissue and like wiggle in there. I don't know. But no, like Sinam, I did a preseason and I gotta share that with y'all after this. But I did like a preseason like rankings of like who I thought would do well. Like number one being I think the person most likely to win, and then number 18 person being the person least likely to win. This wasn't a ranking of them as players or particularly like a placement prediction, but just like I put Sanam at 10th, which like considering she just won Hypnotic would be kind of crazy, but I kind of see this fatal. Like for one, I figured she'd be perceived as a threat. She's coming off of a win. There's a good chunk of people who are either on that cast who have seen her win, may have closely spectated that game where she won, or may have just heard through the grapevine that she is as involved as she is, and therefore she's just dangerous in that regard, and would get too comfortable. And I think we're now starting to see the slow descent into blindside territory. I hope she can get out of this because I mean, like we said, like in past weeks, Tawny, like she's been like 7, 8s, 9s.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've even contemplated on stream giving her like a 10 for one of these rounds because of how well she was doing. But now it's just kind of like both here on round 5 and now looking at round 6 as well. She no bueno. But speaking of, I mean, but it could be worse. Because we have to move on to Vulavu. What the hell happened? My screen sharing is paused. What the hell? We're back here. Don't know what happened there. But we are going to Vulavu, who finished in second. And Jared, you have the pleasure of being first to talk about Tommy.
Oh, Tommy Fry, Tommy Fry. Um, he's so interesting to listen to in calls at times because of what he tells people. Um, I think I don't know who he would have actually voted between Jeremy and Edward if he went to tribal. Um, but it was obviously one of those two. Um, but he once again is with Aaliyah and Caleb, who are ready to sell him down the river on a burning ship. Like they want nothing to do with Tommy, and he thinks that they're still loyal to him. Um, Tommy's interesting also because like I I think he would have gone this tribal if they went to tribal. Um, Trying to see what Edward and Jeremy would have had to do would have been interesting, but I still think that they probably just get rid of Tommy. And because of that, I had to give him another one.
Have we given him any higher than a one in the history of the Stockwatch? I think there may
I
have been.
think
He's gone
so.
twos.
He's got.
He got twos in round three. He
You
got
gave him a
Xander gave
four
him a
round
four.
one.
Plural. I gave him a four.
Yes.
Oh
Xander
shit.
gave him a four.
Oh,
We
Xander. Well, Xander.
don't count Xander's.
You were not here. Xander was giving everyone a Pikmin, which I thought was like, oh, like blue Pikmin were fours, red Pikmin were fives or some shit. But then he gave Jeremy randomly a 10, and I was like, all the legibility. Which like Jeremy, like, well, I mean, we'll
Yeah,
get to
I
him
saw
just
that. I'm like, okay.
yeah. No, Xander was memeing during
Yeah.
that whole thing.
I figured.
Yeah, four is the highest he's ever gotten.
Like
And that was
genuinely.
from you.
Yeah, no, it
Other
was for
than
you.
that, he's gotten threes.
I was about to say when you said, "Oh, he's gotten twos," like that's reassuring. Like I feel bad, but like is it sad that I think this was like his best round post tribal? He wasn't really there much, which is which is great for him. Like it's bad because like he wasn't as available. His schedule was super busy, which would have made him exponentially more likely of a boot if they had gone to tribal council, which they didn't. Good for him. Against
But he
kind
also
of
pissed people off as leader Tommy. We can't forget it, leader Tommy.
I give up. It's just I can't. I was trying to like I get he didn't do anything to improve his position. He's still a bit no, honestly, Tawny. I don't know if you need to say anything about Ty. I feel bad. Like this isn't an indictment on or like a slight at him as a human being, as a like on a personal level. But like Tommy has done
Nothing good.
nothing good.
Because I mean, even if you look at every single trust ranking, starting from the first round, he has never been somebody's number one. I think everyone else has at least one person that's called them their number one at some point. At least everyone that I think is still in the game. Um, it it's just bad. People that he's been in an alliance with since round one don't even trust him. Granted, that's for like not even for reasons that happened from the previous round, but even before then, just based off of his own actions of being Tommy Fry in an org, preface that, like that he just needs to calm down.
and he's actually going back to tribal council tomorrow. So we'll see if he successfully calms down. I will give him this. I will give him this because I know this isn't relevant to this round, but he is not 100% guaranteed to go home next round, which is it's not a guarantee. I mean, it's definitely possible. He's definitely an option on the board. He's on a short list, but
There
there's a
haven't really
chance.
been any other names said seriously, though.
Yeah. So it's like there's arguments that Tommy can find them, or I guess the Baravi, the bananas find them, then they can have a reason to keep Tommy around. Because Jeremy wanted to keep him both here and even in the swap tribe now, like partially as like a shield, as somebody who could potentially be going home very soon. He feels like Tommy is prime to be the merge boot, the first sure. which is ironic because Tommy's whole story, his narrative, is like he doesn't want to be the last pre-jury. And so then would barely finally make it to jury and then get sniped, is what essentially we could see, at least in the short term. Like that's Tommy's best case scenario, is if maybe he makes merge in his merge boo, which he's being set up to be by lots of people. Um, but speaking of Jeremy, I'll talk about him first. Jeremy did good work this week. He was in a bad spot last round, I thought, or round four. I mean, when I say last round, I mean last round to the one I'm talking about. Um, he was in a good amount of danger for a good chunk of the round. It seemed like the Raluve people were going to stick together, and Edward and Jeremy were, and especially Jeremy, was resolute in the fact that it was going to be one of the two of them going home until very shortly before Tribal Council. They finalize a group of four, a voting block that will vote out Tommy. Um, they're expecting maybe a merge soon, just trying to get as few enemies as possible. Not entirely sure if they would lose both challenges, which me and Jared disputed on whether or not that was the correct move for Aaliyah and Caleb to make at that point versus this round here. Um, but Jeremy did a lot of work after this, forging a stronger relationship with Caleb, with Aaliyah specifically, trying to make sure that if they were to survive here, he has good rapport with both of them after this tribe, which they don't go to tribal council, which is great for Jeremy. He can kind of keep this shield in Tommy, who he first was advertising as somebody he wanted to keep around, not particularly because he trusted, but because he felt like that would be a person voted out in front of him. He keeps Edward, who was very much loyal to him, um, and Lee and Caleb, who both really liked Jeremy. And at first, when I thought Edward was doing better work the round prior, I think Jeremy was doing better work this round. Um, Now he would have been in danger if they would have went to a tribal council, just because Tommy's pitch would be just to stay loyal to the three hot people. So could have been in some danger, would have had some opposition, wouldn't have been like a completely smooth ride there, but I think was aware enough to know what the nucleus of the tribe was. He knew it was Ali and Caleb making the decision. Tommy said it himself to Jeremy, and Jeremy did everything he could to appease them. And I think he made the most compelling ally. Now his strategy for the first round of this challenge, that's not, it put them in the back foot. But then they were able to catch up, and he seemed to be really good at strategizing the challenge. I think on the most part, I honestly, I like the last round. The way he broke it down was like, oh yeah, no, Reluve is probably the safest person on the board. They would just reflect. Um, and the only way they lose is if all of Baravi does nothing, and we also don't shoot at Baravi. So I'm gonna give him a 7. Um, but Jared, what do you think about Jared?
I want to harp on, continue what you're saying about that last round of the challenge. Um, I was on the call when they were discussing it, and they were just going around in circles. Aaliyah was hyper focused on shooting Sanam. Like, I've at the time, I would have placed good money on the fact that Aaliyah would shoot Sanam. But Jeremy had a revelation of like, wait, I think they just reflect. And he called out exactly what they had already locked in. And so it was really impressive. What also low key helped was the fact that Edward fell asleep on the call. And so they had to adjust their strategy, taking that into mind. And so Edward low key saved them potentially from losing a life. I don't think they would have gone to tribal regardless, even if Aaliyah had shot Sanam, which might be that is maybe the Spellbound version if you had to compare it to Distortion of I Eat Morgan. It's I shoot Sanam because Aaliyah was gun ho on it. Um, but I don't know, Jeremy like really impressed me this round. Um, he had the he was in a four-person alliance with everyone but Tommy. Um, really close with Edward. They were like number ones on this tribe. He sells the bananas. Um, Putting in the work he did with Aaliyah is potentially carrying over to the swap tribe. So that's good for him. He gets back with Kevin. That's good. Um, Being with Tommy is potentially bad, only because Tommy was debating getting him out. Um, I'm like debating between like a 7, 8, but I think I'll stick with the 7.
Tanya, how do you feel about Jeremy?
Um, hold on, give me a second. I went to go feed my fish. Um, Jeremy, I think definitely improved from the week prior. Like if you just look at his standings within his tribe, he jumped up so much just due to the fact that the previous week, Aaliyah and Kayla both ranked him bottom. Like I think it was a 3 and a 4. Oh no, both fours. Both fours. Um, and he jumped up to 2 because they ranked each other 1 both weeks. But the fact that like he was able to put in that type of work to be able to jump up halfway, granted it's a list of 4, but he still jumped up halfway within 2 people's trust rankings and was just shy of their number 1 spots, which went to each other. But I think that alone just bumps him up. He again did help quite a bit in the challenge. I also was kind of popping in and out of the calls as they were doing their strategizing, which was just entertaining because they honestly all of them were stupid. Um, there's only so much you really can do with this competition. You're going to overthink. Um, let me get back over here. But I am in agreement.
He also pointed out that they kind of helped Reluve by targeting Kevin because they took Kevin out, and so the it somehow worked out to where it was like that was actually a good thing for Reluve to lose Kevin because Kevin was inactive that challenge, and so then you only have the 3 like active people left. Granted, they didn't know why Kevin was doing nothing in the challenge, as his action, so it kind of helped them because then it was like the worst that they could do is lose 3 points. And so he was like, wait, we kind of helped them. So he kind of helped his allies also. Just a fun fact.
Like the first round, like did eventually backfire, and Aaliyah was very much like I was telling them, my gut usually tells me that I'm right, which like get to Aaliyah
Mm.
people. But like it was I think afterwards Jeremy does pull his weight and is actually very effective in strategizing and think of like what's the most optimal move, not just for them to make, but for other tribes to make as well. Like he broke down how Raluve was in a better spot to win after the final round despite losing Kevin. Because like worst they can lose is like you said, like 3 lives at the end if they all reflect and don't do anything. To which the only way they win is if Baravi all does the only way they lose is if Baravi does nothing, um, which was not likely. They took a very aggressive approach. Um, but let's move on to Edward. Um, Jared, you go up first for Edward.
Edward is interesting this round. He's 4th in trust rankings, um, only being Jeremy's number 1. Other than that, he doesn't rank higher than a 3. Um, but Aaliyah seems to have really grown fond of Edward this round. So that was good for him. And I think him and Caleb really got along. So that helps with their 4, um, which was more of a convenience 4 than like an actual alliance, um, with an interesting name. Um, but I don't like, and then going into the swap, he gets removed from all of them except for Caleb. So, he put in good work with Caleb, so we'll have to see how much that carries over. Um, Granted, they aren't going to tribal, this next tribal, so that also we can't really see. So I think I'm going to keep him at a 6 for now. I can also be swayed.
Yeah, no, for me it's been a very interesting round for Edward because like you can argue Jeremy won like this battle, like where like Jeremy has not only convinced Aaliyah and Caleb to pick him over Edward, but just to pick him over Tommy as well. Like he was able to make it so that they would more likely trust Jeremy, like from a game sense. They both ranked uh Jeremy higher than Edward, both rankings, because Tony said he was number two. Um, like Edward has been doing solidly socially. Like he's never the person who's in the best position. I think aside from like round one where he tied with Lily for like trust records as to who was the most trusted, but that was such a wonky and like I think the highest average was like 2.4, which like we see people like running away with it on other tribes and every other trust ranking since then, with someone being like in the one, like 1.25 or whatever the hell, average. Um, I wouldn't really do all that much. He hilariously is the MVP for falling asleep on call, which kind of forced them to play a more preserved and more passive um approach this round. Um, I feel like there's not really much for me to report on. Kind of Edward, actually, even less so than Raluve, because Raluve, if they had gone to tribal, would have been very interesting. If they had gone, but Edward, if they went to tribal, like Edward unfortunately wasn't the most active. I wasn't the least active that goes to Tommy, but like wasn't the most integral number of that new four. And now on this tribe, he is in a very weird spot. If they had lost, there was a potential for it to be three Woluwe, three Vuluvu members on the new tribe. Um, that would have been fun if they had gone again, like the Gel Alliance versus being finally reunited versus Caleb, Sergio, Ryu. But Tawny, tell us about it.
I feel like there's really just not much to say about Edward. Not like in a bad way, but just like there was nothing he did that like impressed me or that like upset me. He was just there, you know? But that's what I have to say, and I'm just keeping my ranking the same from last week.
We're gonna talk about. I'll be first to talk about Caleb. And I feel bad, kind of like for brushing off Edward, but like Edward hasn't. Do you think then move down? Like hasn't done actively anything to like sabotage his position. Never has he really. I think just people being more, doing more around him. Like I think that was what happened on OG Vulevu as well. It was just like I'm not losing people's trust rather than people doing more to gain others' trust. To which with Caleb, um, had done pretty good work as well. I has evaded like being the because I saw a lot of like Aaliyah and Jeremy butting heads during the challenge. Caleb wasn't really involved in that at all, and in ways was kind of like the not the mediator, but like kind of like in like the kid like watching their parents fight, and so like they are not responsible or really receive any repercussions for it at all. To which Aaliyah could have potentially been in more danger than Caleb. I think Caleb was the safest person on this tribe. And at first I thought it was like a joint, like they're both the safest people. But there were already talks about, shifting from Caleb being the most dangerous player. Like we were scared that maybe Caleb was going to be a more danger, but it seemed like looking at trust rankings, his average, I believe, was the best. I could be wrong. Someone could double check for me. I don't want to like change it to like
Caleb
What was the
was
question?
highest ranked.
Caleb. Okay, so got it. Okay, so Caleb was. And I think that I mean does a lot of good work. I can't really complain. Unfortunately, I thought Voulez-Vous would be a lot more interesting to talk about than it is right now, but like I guess we talked about the bulk of what was most interesting with Jeremy and Tommy. Now with this swap tribe in a pretty good position, is looking to target some really big players in the game, and you know that was very that's going to be interesting. You know, we have lots of people who we saw as some of the top contenders and the big dogs of each of their respective OG tribes all together. And Caleb is in the numbers advantage. He has both Ryu and Sergio. He has his idol. He did not need to go to tribal council, leaves this swap tribe the better off for it because he now has this four that if they're able to reunite, that's at least something that can potentially get information from other tribes as well. Um, which Jeremy might take more seriously if a banana does get sniped along the way. Still leaves with Tommy's loyalty if Tommy somehow survives, which is not the most likely, but it's possible. You know, that's at least someone else who implicitly trusts Caleb. I am going to give Caleb our first eight of the recording. I just have nothing but good things to say about him. I've rated him highly. That's my winner pick from preseason. He's done pretty good. At least winner pick from his OG tribe. I waffle between the top two all the time. But Jared, Caleb,
I mean, I agree with everything that you said. The one thing I'll add is really that, his idol is a secret. I don't think anyone knows about it. So major points for him on that. Um, I mean, I don't think there's really much to add. I mean, he's in a good position. He's always been in a good position no matter what tribe he's in. He's been identified as a threat, but he somehow like got got it so where other people have somehow become bigger threats than him, so they don't need to target him right away. Maybe that'll change once merge hits, but because he did just as good of work as he did last week, I think I have to give him the same rank I did last week, which was an 8.
And I'm in the exact same boat. He he's just, doing what he's doing, and what he's doing is working.
He is doing what Kevin and Sanam need to be doing. He's not like he has a grip on the game, but is continuing to keep his grip on the game.
I think because are they about to? No, he's not on the tribe going to tribal because he does not do well on days that he has to go to tribal, as we have seen. Which I think is why, like, let me see. No, he's actually
Has he only been to like one tribal?
he's only been to the one trouble, yeah, the Marvin,
was that
but
round two
yeah,
Yeah.
which like
when he has lower than a seven for the only time. Yeah.
yeah, like it's paranoid. But like one thing we didn't mention on that as well was like this was mainly because he was paranoid, but kept his paranoia at least for the most part in his tribe chat. I think his reads on the game get a little bit wonky, and he starts to overthink a little bit more and actually like express this. Which, as production, we got to take the things he tells us in his private chat at face value because like there's no motivation to lie to us about what you're thinking. So it's like the fact that he may be operating under information that he is vocalizing because he's paranoid, like his that makes me worried if he was to go back to tribal council. But now that he confidently has the number, and one thing I will give Caleb lots of credit for is that unlike Kevin and Sanam, I feel like Caleb is doing the adequate work he needs to branch out outside from Aaliyah. Like if Aaliyah gets sniped at any point during the game, I think Caleb as opposed to most other people with their duos, I think Caleb will be fine. Unfortunately, he will lose. Inherently, it's just like losing your number one ally or someone who trusts you as much as Aaliyah trusts Caleb. Like that's bad for your game. But like Caleb, it won't be the game ender. It is. It won't force Caleb to reevaluate or reassess everything because he'll have other people he has strong connections with. And that could be, depending on when that is, just a jury vote for him. Like that could be something that's good for him. Someone in the jury who will advocate for Caleb, because if Caleb was not part of that move. But we are moving on to the aforementioned close ally. Jared, go first about Aaliyah.
I think it was actually good for both of their games that they got separated in this swap so that they can maybe try to not be seen as much of a duo as if they would have swapped together. Um, Hold on, I'm switching over to the trust rankings and comparing Aaliyah. So Aaliyah dropped by point 0.5 in the trust ranking, um, being rated lower by Jeremy this week was, I believe, the main thing. Oh, Jeremy and Edward rated her lower. Um, and that's probably potentially due to like the challenge. I'm not 100% sure. But or more credit to Caleb. Um, Obviously they didn't go to had to go to tribal. I don't think like between her and Caleb, she was the one to be in danger, but I still think that Tommy would have gone over her at the end of the day. Um, but I think her grip loosened, like we're using this, grip loosening metaphor. I think she lost some of that grip she had on this tribe this round, so I had to dock her for that. So I'm gonna give her a 7. Well, hold on, sorry. I might I'm gonna give her a 6 because I don't think she's the same level as Jeremy, but I'm very open to changing that back to a 7.
I think that is fair. Because this swap specifically wasn't the best for Aaliyah. I think it's weird because it's like the position that she's in on their swap tribe is it's good in the sense that like she has the opportunity now to foster more relationships. Um, the problem is, like just where she's at, she is not in the driver's seat. It's not her making the decisions. It's her kind of clawing her way out of this tribe to make it to merge. Which, it's possible. I do think that she has some things going in her favor. She's more active than Mikey, who somehow finds a way, like finds a new thing to do every round. One day it's boarding the plane, one day it's being at the wedding, the next round it's going back on the plane. I kid with Mikey, but it's like, and then Tommy's of course more of a aversive presence. So she's not completely dead or doomed on this new tribe, but she is in danger. We see at least Jeremy, at least playing devil's advocate and exercising all the options like which are best for his game. While he's vocalized that that Tommy and Mikey are people he would like to keep around as potential people to be the merge boot. Aaliyah has not been talked of in that regard at all. Um, but of course, Jeremy, Kevin, and Bryant are discussing right now as to what's going to happen in round 6. So I am going to tentatively give her a 7 because while I don't think she's on the same level as Jeremy or have as great of prospects as Jeremy does. I think that Jeremy is above just a 7.0. I do not know what it is. I don't necessarily say 7.5. I think Aaliyah's 7 dead smack right on 7. Very narrowly escaping the 6 territory for me personally, because I think that she's done solid work forging some bonds, forging some relationships with people. And while it is tragic what happens this round, I think that the boots was good for her like threat management long term. Like if I know she probably would not have wanted this to be the case, but like I think I could have seen come like if a swap were to happen or a merge situation, like a swap where Ali and Morgan get together, they're not even considering getting rid of Tommy. Like if it was just Mikey that went home instead of Morgan and Morgan was on that tribe, it would be whoever Leo or Morgan they get out. I genuinely believe that they would be very hard to ignore that they're as close as they are and are probably strategizing in real life. Just together, like whatever, that they're that close. So I do think that could be good for her. We'll see how it works out for her. But give her a 7. But Tawny.
Really
Oh, okay.
quick, all
Mhm.
because of Morgan leaving, I I will agree with a 7. It's like on the
Yeah.
verge of a 6, but Morgan leaving does help her game.
Jonathan.
Did you just call me Tonathan?
You acting like this is the first time I've called you that this season. Definitely on a recording, I think this is the first time. Yes, but yes, I did call you Jonathan.
Yeah, Aaliyah definitely was like not impressing me this past round. It, I don't know what it is. Like just like looking like against everybody else on the tribe, like it's like definitely like nowhere near like whatever the heck's going on with Tommy. Like, but she's also like not in like as good of as a position as like what Caleb was at all. So it's kind of like I'm over here like teetering between like this 6 and 7 like numbers here. Um, I don't know. It's like it's a high 6, low 7 situation.
Yeah, it's kind of around that too. Like I don't blame Jared's six from before. Like I think that Jeremy's prospects technically are better. I think he's done enough to separate himself from the bananas. He's done good enough work with some of these people here so that his only path to the end isn't just bananas. He might align with some of them moving forward. He might link up with like a Bryant or something like that. Um, and maybe snipe one of Kevin Shanam, like on his own terms, maybe. But I don't know. You could do whatever you so choose. I also might bump Bird down. It's like I'm still contemplating in real life.
Because I'm like trying to think about like if that tribe, I'm assuming that like if that tribe would have gone to tribal, Tommy was out. But had they had to go again, where does she stand? Because obviously like Caleb's not getting rid of her.
But I think also to factor in is that they were thinking that they were merging. And so I think that Jeremy and Edward may have potentially been more open to getting rid of Tommy this round compared to,
No, I'm
sorry.
talking about like in like Tommy's already gone. Tommy
If
is
Tommy was
not,
gone round four, if they lost both challenges, like if
yeah.
Tommy went
Oh,
out
okay.
last
Okay.
round and they went back again, I get what you're saying, Tony.
Okay.
Um,
Like where does she stand
I
there?
think I think
I think
she'd
it's a
be
2-2.
well, yeah, but like it's like Caleb has the idol, and they could just win like the day because if Caleb plays it. Like, let's say they both, like Edward and Jeremy vote for Tommy. It doesn't matter who Caleb votes for. Because if Caleb correctly uses it on Aaliyah, then just nullifies the votes and their two votes win out. They get rid of Edward or Jeremy. Or if he uses it on himself, but Aaliyah still is the one who receives two votes, it's still tied 2-2, and Caleb will then have the leverage on the discussion to say, look, I'm safe. You go home or your ally goes home. You choose. Like, would you rather go? So it's like which like good on Aaliyah for being aligned with somebody, unbeknownst to her, that has this idol. But again, it would have been up to Caleb to save her. I do think Caleb did better work this round to be safe with Edward and Jeremy. And if they were to make a big move, it would have been on Aaliyah. I don't think it would have been on Caleb. Last round, I was questioning, would it have been on Caleb? Because Jeremy noted him as the better player. Um, but I think that they feel better with him now.
Which
So
it is kind of interesting that Caleb has, aside from one round when he put Ryu as his number one, Aaliyah's been his number one every single week because they've been together this entire time, and hasn't told her about the idol.
Good. Like, I think that's so smart.
It is smart, but I feel like that I don't know if that says more about Caleb or if that says more about Aaliyah.
People have loose lips for things that they really should not be disclosing. They may overestimate who might like Aaliyah could have told Ryu, "Oh, Caleb has an idol." Maybe she takes the secret to the grave, but this happens all the time. Like people tell other people's information to others, believing, "Oh, they'll keep it a secret. They ain't going to tell anybody because they also trust this person." But they either underestimate their relationship or like overestimate their relationship and therefore they get burned by those people, or they underestimate how loose of lips they have or how dumb they might be. So I give Caleb lots of credit, but good on Aaliyah. All lucky sevens. Um, but a moment I've been waiting for this whole Stockwatch to talk about Bravi, because man, oh man, we've had some pretty boring stocks up until this point. Lots of people teetering on like the 6, 7, 8 range. But these guys are so it fluctuates. Like it's actually so crazy. And I'll be Itani. I know you said you want to be the last, but I wouldn't be opposed to the one exception being Lily if you wanted to.
No, thank you.
Okay, then. So I'll Jared, I know you're a stan of Lily, so if you want to go first, you can.
I mean, I was looking at her stock watch earlier. She's been rated either like an 8 or a 9 every single week. Um, as the number 2 Lily stand on this call, um, she put herself in the middle. She recognized that she was in the middle. Um, but then this good ally of hers left, and she kind of lost, but potentially lost. She lost trust in Rio and Sergio, more Rio than Sergio, but she was still able to put herself in this middle position. I have faith in her in this swap tribe because it's Lily. Um, I feel like I'm gonna have to give her an 8 because she still positioned herself amazingly. But the knock against her is the fact that Morgan went home. She unfortunately was handcuffed to Morgan. Um, and Ryu took the shot at Morgan, which I think was better for her game to stay. Um, but she's staying as an 8 or a 9.
I there's actually great crazy idea because I one thing the last thing I want is to put more 6 and 7s on the board. That's the last thing I want to avoid. There's one person on the strap that I'm like I think I'm going to probably that's what I'm going to give that person. Lily's not that person, but she's definitely considering 7. Um, because Lily, this is the now the second time that the person that they ranked as number 1 has went home. They lose Issa, which both times technically aren't really her fault. Like both times were due to advantages, whether it be indirectly taking Issa out or directly sniping Morgan out of the game. What was so powerful about her position was that she was sought out after by everyone to be their third. Mikey and Morgan, obviously really close. Morgan's advocating to get rid of a Sergio in this position. And then Ryu and Sergio are trying to pitch for Mikey or maybe Morgan to go home. Ryu and Sergio both correctly see that Lily is getting really close with Morgan. And nanoseconds before Tribal, um, was going to stick her neck out pretty far out for Morgan over Ryu and Sergio, whom she initially had put as the duo that she trusted more, and made it very clear to both parties that she was the deciding factor in all of this. To which she votes off Mikey, asks us as prod, "Oh, do I still need to vote for Mikey on the revote?" I was like, "No, you could switch your vote." And it says, "Okay." Still voting Mikey though, which like I guess like you gotta stick to your guns at that point. Like there's nothing to and immediately afterwards confesses to Sergio that she was looking to voting towards him. which she's rebuilding and rekindling that relationship with Sergio, which is good that she's already doing some damage control and trying to repair some things with Ryu. Um, I do have faith in her, but unfortunately, this was the rockiest or the sloppiest round from her so far. And even then, despite me saying that it's sloppy, she was undoubtedly the safest person on the entire tribe in all of this. I think everyone's name and like Lily, maybe in Sergio's chat. Like Sergio was like, "Can we just get rid of Lily? Just like just cut the middle person, just like all just come to an agreement." Um, but aside from that, wasn't seriously considered, so I have to give her lots of credit for that. Um, but this is the second. It's like she has Noelle upside from Survivor 43. Like this is the person who I first think of, like who finds a closest ally. That closest ally goes home, but she finds a new closest ally. She lost Dwight. She picks up some pieces. She picks up Janine. She loses Janine and says, "All right, but let me reassess. Let me get Owen as my next closest ally." And like constantly is finding new people to bond with, and she's not in the greatest position on this new swap. And this, I think, will be a true testament to how great Lily is as a social player. I am going to give her an 8, but that 8 is very shaky. And depending on where Tawny, the number 1.5 Lily stand on here, because I'm the number one Lily stand, not you. Definitely not.
Really, who's watched her season of Exile Island? Me. Thank you very much.
Whatever, yeah. You watched her on Exile Island. I watched her on
Yeah, I
Dance
watched
Moms
her
10
dominate a
years ago.
game.
Yeah, I watched her on Dance Moms. Did you know she was on Dance 10 years ago? I watched her from her pageant. It's like, I don't know. I like she's a celebrity or some shit. But yeah, no, so
She is.
Toddy,
Yeah.
give Lily your high score,
My high score.
your high stock. I'm assuming it's gonna be a good.
No, I'm kidding.
Just ruins the whole color scheme of the whole thing. Just everyone is red.
Um, I think for the cards, whoa, that she was dealt. Wait, so does that mean I can do like a like a one of those? I joke, I keyed. Um, like with this particular round, there was a lot of things out of her control that that not her fault. Like being handcuffed to Morgan, that was the system AI's fault right there. Um, but again, like she wasn't ever, which she never has ever been at any true risk of going home, which I think is a testament to her social game, even if like Mikey, who has never ranked her higher than a 3, like I don't think was ever like fully considering like even like throwing her name. Like I think he's like said stuff like in his prod chat or maybe like randomly or something, but like not in like a heavy consideration way, which I do think, which it's definitely not, I don't know. Like I don't know if I can rank her higher than an 8, but I don't know if I would even like if I could drop her down to a 7, you know?
I get that. It's like there's so many arguments. That's like who the MVP or like the best, who played the best. Because I have a hot take that will be coming later as to who I vote for, who played the best this round goes to.
I don't
Um,
think any of them. I think there's a who's played the worst.
oh, I yeah, we'll get to that person and eventually at some point. But let's talk about who I don't think played the best this round, and it is fortunately Michael over here. I'll go first. Mikey has been an enigma of a player. He has been consistently the most inactive person on every iteration of every tribe that he's been on so far. I think now he has competition for that not honor, that dishonor, with Tommy being busier more recently. And this round, it looked like he was going home. He even himself thought he was going to be going home, but Morgan gets sniped instead of him. Um, to which good on him for not being the target here. And yes, it required an advantage to get there. But Mikey, realistically, and we'll get to Morgan as well, had no reason to survive this tribal council. Like in the world where like Lily and Morgan succeed, or the ones where Ryu and Sergio come out on top, Mikey doesn't go home in either of those scenarios, which is crazy to me. Because just before this, we thought, oh, it was just set in stone. Mikey would have gone home because it looked like Lily was siding with Ryu and Sergio, and Mikey was in a lot of danger after Zach went on OG Vulevu. Um, to which he's in a decent amount of danger now on his swap tribe. So it's like he's like a cockroach. Like despite so many things, so many guns being pointed in his direct. I mean, to make it create an illusion to the shoot reflect nothing challenge. Uh, he's still finding himself to just a way to reflect and just dodge these bullets, and someone keeps getting shot at more than him. So honestly, I'm pretty impressed. And happy for him because obviously I love Mikey. Unfortunately, not all of these are directly due to his own actions. He saves himself with the safety without power, which, gets brought up again during this tribal council, I believe. Or if not, definitely in conversations between Lily and Mikey, which I obviously I know context, so maybe it's a little bit different. But if I heard, "Oh, congrats on your rubber ducky, good job on your rubber ducky," I would feel slighted. I'd feel like it's a bit like there's some subliminal message in there. Um, does he? You know what? I feel like he did some solid backup for Morgan this round, trying to ease Lily into voting with Morgan, saving him, trying to sell himself as a good ally for Lily. Why I don't credit him more. I credit Morgan more for saving Mikey and for winning Lily in this battle. Um, I don't want to give him a one. I'll give him a two. Jared, you can say what you want about Mikey.
Okay, again, the I may need to be refreshed on this round. Why did Morgan and Lily vote for Mikey? They were going to be more loyal to Ryu and Sergio. Like, why did they vote this way?
Because of the
Reuse power.
plumb bob.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Thank you. I forgot about that part. Even though, like I remembered it, but then like I just forgot. Okay. Even though like Mikey was potentially going home, didn't hate this round for him. Like I've seen more activity from him. And so and then being with Morgan on this tribe was good for him because automatic person who was going to keep him. And if all the shenanigans didn't happen, he was gonna be safe, most likely. But then, well, that goes back to what Lily decides to do, what side she decides to go to. Um, but I don't know. I didn't hate Mikey this round. Again, his activity level is, I think, influencing my decision. Um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with three.
Oh, whoa, Jared, whoa. We're just giving up things. I thought I was crazy for giving him a two after like weeks on weeks on weeks of giving him ones. But like, go Mikey. Toddy, what do you think about
No,
Mikey?
like Jared said, it's kind of like him being more active is like it's like pulling out some higher numbers, you know? Like he's not just being a bump on a log right now. He had like he was putting in work with Lily to try to swing her over. And again, like had it not been for the whole plumb bob situation that I'm sure we'll get to either with the next person or the one after. Um, like Lily was basically gonna be, I think Lily would have voted however Morgan voted regardless. Like it, which helped aside from the fact that the plumb bob existed, like if that wasn't in play, like that would have been absolutely great for Morgan. Because it would have guaranteed, I'm assuming, Sergio leaving. Um, yeah, but Mikey Mikey was there. Mikey was talking. Mikey had things to say. And I agree with the three.
I love it's that's where we're going. That Mikey was there. He gets a three. That's
He
so
was there and didn't say anything bad.
he gave this is why I'm like Mikey, if Mikey was active the whole game, Michael would be a dangerous force. Like I mean, like he almost won season two. Like he's one competition away, snipes Julia, and he wins the whole game. Like I feel like I was waiting to see, and I still want to see more. I think obviously he could have played this round better. You know, I don't think he was even the person in leading the charge to take Sergio out. I think he did a lot of backup work. He was more good sidekick, at least for my perception of that round and how it played out. But we're going to go on to Morgan. I think this is really great the way that they're organized, like alphabetically. It's like we talk about Lily, who's in the middle, and we talk about both like duos. Like we could essentially talk about them in tandem. Jared, what are your thoughts on how Morgan played this round, which unfortunately is our 14th placer?
I don't know if this is controversial. I don't think this is a hot take or anything to say. This was Morgan's best round, and it pains me because I was going into this tribal, I was like, yes, Morgan, you're finally like, this is what I wanted from Morgan this entire time. They are finally were in a good position. But then all this bullshit happened. And I was so upset for them that they left because, they had been like middle of the road, maybe like fours, fives, maybe a three. I don't remember.
I gave them a three, almost entirely just to shake things up. I wasn't feeling as genuine as it possibly could have been.
Yeah, it's like they get like four or fives, but this round was so good for them. Even though they went home, I'm still going to have to give them a high score because I was so impressed. Um, they got Lily on their side. And I think Lily, based on what Tawny was saying, was gonna work with Morgan more. I think Lily probably did still want to get rid of Mikey if possible. I think she would have wanted the best case scenario maybe would have been Ryu, Sergio, Lily, Morgan as the four people on this tribe getting rid of Mikey. For Morgan, it would have been best to get rid of either Rio or Sergio and keep Mikey. Um, but overall, again, Morgan, I think I was going to discuss Lily. Morgan was, um, even though they didn't get Ryu, Sergio on their side, I feel like they did a good job of at least talking to them. Sergio is an anomaly his relationships in this game confuse me, but I thought that Morgan was doing a good job with Sergio from my perspective. But then hearing Sergio's perspective on it, I don't understand it. But I think I had to give Morgan at like a six. So I'm so impressed by this.
For context, that means that Morgan in Jared's eyes played as well as the whole Raluve tribe and better than one. I I honestly Morgan was one of the people playing better this round, and I'd argue, I mean, obviously, like results clearly says something. But for the longest time, I thought Morgan was playing the best. Morgan had no reason. There was, I had everything stacked up against them during this tribal council. Had not attended one before, has absolutely no leverage, has nobody that they can sell as an ally, at least from OG Boravi. Has Mikey, who's not only inactive and a very easy target, but having the one person from Mikey's tribe being the most aversive to Mikey and Mikey having the glasses advantage and having the pink handcuffs, and still somehow found a way to get Lily on their side. Because while Mikey was somebody Lily wasn't the biggest fan of, Ryu and Sergio were starting to kind of annoy and irk Lily. Morgan went up, and Lily basically was going to vote off Sergio and save Mikey, not at all because of Mikey, but mostly because of Morgan and just their strong bond. So where like after this point, like you said, I thought that they were doing really good work. Made that alliance with Lily and Ryu, and I thought that it would have been at least, oh, like yeah, maybe Ryu uses the plumb bob, but it gets rid of Mikey. Um, and we'll get to Ryu in just a moment. But Morgan, I thought was playing the best for so long of it. It's tragic that they get sent home because I made this point, but I don't think I finished my point from last Stockwatch, where I harkened back to their season on Hypnotic, where they started off very rocky pre-jury, much like this. Was not at the top, wasn't a particularly disliked figure, but wasn't the most insulated or most influential person on the board. But give them some time to start cooking, and then they become a five-star Michelin chef. Their trajectory in that game was they ascended from the bottom to the middle, and in the end game they were at the top. And I thought this was like the breakout moment for like Morgan to finally spread their wings. They finally go into tribal council. They're finally strutting their stuff, and this is when Morgan excels at. Morgan is, I think, a really sound and logical strategic player, and I felt was making very compelling arguments, forged that bond with Lily, and almost took the power back, but just get sniped. And I don't even know if it was really worth it. I do agree with the assessment that Morgan was going to be more dangerous than Mikey down the road because Morgan was able to kind of take Lily away from you and Sergio. I get that. I do agree with the move on like as if they had to take out one of the two of them, Morgan was the more dangerous person long term. But the fact that they reveal their relationship with Aaliyah to Lily and that kind of eases Lily into like, we have numbers. You have numbers going with me. Sergio's an unreliable player and ally, and Ryu is Ryu. I also want to give Morgan a six. I kind of want to give them higher, but just the fact that they got sent home, I can't justify it.
I know I was low-key debating the seven, but I think what also hurt Morgan's game, thinking about it while you were talking, was having Sergio on this tribe and having seen their mastermind game, which they reference a lot. Um, and just planting like seeds of like Morgan is this, fantastic player and, was so impressed by their mastermind game. And I think that's what eventually got Ryu to take out Morgan, or at least help push
Yeah,
Morgan.
it's like looking back, like I keep thinking like Issa versus Morgan. Like who was more screwed over? Like who was more sniped out of the game? And like Issa's solution is just be at tribal. Like I mean they have like their own obligations, that easily simply could have saved them. But like Morgan had so many obstacles to overcome to be in a position where they were to win out, they were to get their ideal target out. They were almost able to accomplish that, but got sniped out directly by an advantage. Um, and I guess like yeah, Morgan maybe could have just conceded, just let go of Mikey. Just been like, look, I got Lily. Mikey has not been really all that active. Mikey's going to be very hard to keep in the game for much longer. I'd rather at least forge some bonds with some of these other people, show people, oh, I'm not just going to work with my friends, trying to advertise themselves, but like it was within reach and they were able to accomplish it. But
I still don't think that if like Morgan were to have like let go of Mikey, I think that they would still be in the same position that they are. It's just very unfortunate for them that Ryu got the advantage and then decided to play it this particular round because they didn't have to. They like it was kind of like I don't think that I mean they were paranoid. They like Ryu was very paranoid. Um, but like that was the only reason I believe Morgan actually left here is it's because of that advantage, which they didn't know about. No one knew that Ryu had it. I think he might have told Sergio before.
probably
Um,
like shortly before, if that were the
yeah.
case.
Yeah, it would have been like last second.
Aside from him telling everybody about the condom situation. But I think with that aside, which I probably should take that into account, but just based off of Morgan's actions themselves, I am gonna give them that 7.
I think mine is like a very high 6, borderline 7, and I'm still like debating giving the 7 because I'm that imp screw it, give them the 7. I was so impressed with their game, and I'm so sad that they got sniped. I think that they deserve, right as of right now, they deserved Rob Preacher over Issa only because we just don't know what would have happened if Issa stayed. But we can more confidently say that if all these shenanigans didn't happen, Morgan was in a good spot.
Like they could have easily just like won just numbers wise if Mikey did not have that disadvantage. Like even like if
Yeah,
I guess like Ryu's plumb bob is really like the thing that hammered in the nail of their fuck it. I'm giving them a 7 too. I just I've been convinced. I feel bad because like Bryant technically averages ever so slightly worse than Morgan, and Bryant's one of the people I have ranked the highest, at least in my mind, like decibels involved. But like Rip
this round in
Morgan.
particular.
Yeah, this round was so good for it sucks that they got sniped. Honestly, if Morgan had won this round, there was arguments for me to give them a 9. I would have given them that if they were able to get out of this and actually get their way. I'm like, damn, good shit, Morgan. And I would have had to like eat all my words from all the other past tribals. It's like of them like not being in the greatest social position, like not really like whatever, like they came into themselves. But let's talk about Ryu. Oh my gosh, it's like on one hand, the ego that I have, right? It's fragile. And I don't like going back or like saying positive things or negative things about somebody that I'm going to like it is going to be so quickly switching. But Ryu did a lot of not good things this round. Ryu had been a huge mess. Loses Lily to Morgan and kind of puts himself and makes it very abundantly clear that he is kind of like this alpha male, kind of like this person who's directly competing against Lily to be in control. Like not someone who's working with Lily, but like working as like working around Lily, if that's the case. Like I think Lily says it in her rant, which like while this becomes the second time that someone uses an advantage to help themselves, maybe a little bit at Lily's expense that Lily gets mad at here. Um, Ryu did value this moment more than the relationship that he had with Lily, which was good before this point. Um, like we already even like gave them and made him a contender last round even in spite of Morgan already being low on Ryu, because Ryu had done such good work with getting Lily on his side. His investment in Sergio was paying dividends. Um, to which this tribal, like he is like the star of it, I guess, because of the boom. Oh, I'm gonna play this plumb bob. But that on top of also playing the condom right afterwards, like even if the condom was something, which it wasn't, it would just he was doing so much at tribal for absolutely no reason. When like yes, he would have lost Sergio, which would have stunk. Um, but even if he would have played that just to get Mikey out, like it would have been unnecessary, but at least it wouldn't have so greatly. I don't think it would have pissed off Lily as much because Ryu was consistent in wanting Mikey out for a good chunk of this round. But for him to do this and snipe Morgan out, even despite the fact that Ryu was very clearly aware of Lily's fondness of Morgan, is giving him more of an uphill battle to surmount. I think Lily made this comparison of Ryu treating this more like Big Brother than Survivor, which like maybe for me it doesn't feel like that transition is really all that hard to make. I guess like fundamentally them as games are very different, and you kind of have to shift your strategy to fit the format rather than I don't think you become like a drastically different player in one format or the other. I don't feel. I think I generally rely on the same strengths and have generally the same approach to games. But Ryu having done all of this, I think really now makes me worried for him that and I think even during this round six's immunity challenge, you kind of could see the alpha male in him coming out. Like he can't help but not be the last one to get a word in, the last one to kind of like to be the one who gets his say. I am waffling between a bunch of numbers right now. I kind of am waiting for y'all to talk and kind of that determine my stock because I'm really conflicted on Ryu right now.
I think that Lily kind of has said it best in her prod chat of like he's kind of like a mansplainer and he does have to have like the last word. Like she clocked him so hard in the way that he talks. And he was even like, I owe you one and stuff. She's like, I don't want that power dynamic. And I mean, obviously this is in the next round, but she still clocked him. Um, I mean, he didn't do himself any favors during the challenge. Morgan and wait, was it?
Does the shoot reflect nothing
He
also?
didn't even
Yeah.
partake in it, I don't think, did he?
He sat out, but like he was still
Yes.
trying to
Okay.
give like his
Oh,
opinions of the
yeah.
challenge.
I would. That's why I was trying to remember what challenge that was because they were annoyed at him. I couldn't remember if it was both challenges they were on this tribe or just a singular one. Yet he pissed off Lily and Morgan during that challenge because of his backseating. Kind of like what Tommy was doing, leader Tommy. He was being leader Ryu when he couldn't actually contribute to the challenge. Um, so I'm I agree with everything you said. It's like the taking out Morgan was a good move for his game, but at what cost? You you've ruined your relationship with Lily. He didn't really have a relationship with Mikey. You still have Sergio, but I think Sergio is still like on his side, but at the same time, like also like okay, that was a bit theatrical maybe. So I don't know. You know, he could be like a one, he could be like an eight, it's just I've just, picked a number. He wouldn't be
No,
like a nine or a 10. But
I
like
get that.
it's such a wide range. I don't know how to rank him.
I'm considering like a range between like 1 and 5. Like I have
I was also
weighed
thinking that.
I was also like genuinely considering all of them because it's like what I think is like to put him on like the same level as Tommy, no shade, but it's like obviously he did lots of bad stuff, but at least got a good outcome out of it. Like at least like
hmm
if he did all this to get rid of Mikey and maybe still would have suffered the same repercussions, but having a more active and more strategically like just again, it's just a more active player against him than Mikey, who could potentially just go home this round. So it's like and also Lily's kind of forced to try to reconcile with him because like the survivor gods were watching us and smiling on us. They put Lily, Ryu, and Sergio on the same tribe again being the only alliance from either the OG tribes or the swap tribe that completely like all the members are on the same tribe, which
I
that
felt
was
bad for
funny to
her.
move. I feel for her too, but it's like I just think it's hilarious and like Ryu did all this like work to save Sergio, which we'll get to in just a moment. Tawny, what do you think? Can you make sense of Ryu's decisions this round?
I think that him playing the plumb bob, which is arguably probably the most powerful advantage that is in this game. Um, you control another human. And I don't think that he was fully thinking because the way that it's written, if you know somebody has an idol, you could tell them to play it on you. Like
Oh, true.
he wasted a very powerful advantage that could be used until, what did I say, final seven, final eight. So multiple, many rounds to go that it could be used, and he wasted it to take out Morgan, who up until this round wasn't in any alliance chats, who
You're
had
correct.
basically been on the bottom of their original tribe, if I remember correctly, who still wasn't they actually were ranked fairly well on this particular tribe, but everyone was kind of mid. But you wasted that to get Morgan out. And I would honestly at this point argue, depending on how the rest of the season goes, worst move of the season.
Oh,
Honestly, that I agree because
And
it's
I've
like
actually talked myself shit into a lower number.
I have a question about the plumb bob,
Uh-huh.
whatever the fuck it's called. I mean, based off the wording, it just says that they can't play an advantage without the person consenting to it. So, like, if it doesn't say that like Ryu could have been like Morgan, play your idol. It just says that like M Morgan wouldn't have been able to play anything without Ryu's consent.
Let me look to see exactly because I
because you
feel
said yeah,
like
permission.
anything that wasn't said in the actual thing, I clarified. I said you now control someone at tribal, like the exact words.
Yeah.
And if I were to sit there and list every single option, I would have gone through so many parchments of what you could do to control
Yeah.
somebody at tribal.
I think also what hurts Ryu in my mind is the fact that he even got the advantage wrong when he was talking about it at Tribal. He was like, I'm gonna, what did he say? I'm gonna,
He
Morgan's
thought
vote
it
it
was
just
like a
doesn't
vote
count.
steal.
He thought it was like no, he thought it was like a vote blocker. Like it's gonna like block their vote and they can't use advantages, period. Like they just thought like they just and they were like, can they vote themselves? Like he was asking like logistical questions at tribal council
He
about
had
his
all
advantages.
day to,
And I'd needed us multiple times to clarify. And like I was so
which
confused that I had to make yeah, I love how just with each statement we make, it bumps Ryu's score down for Donnie, which me and Jared still haven't even given our ratings out yet because it's just like there's such a wide range. Like you could say like, oh, like that he makes this big move. I guess it's something on his resume if he likes to boast this if he somehow makes it to the end. But it's like you gotta like pick and choose your battles. Like, yes, he could have done better work to keeping Lily on his side. I but does the quite opposite and severs that trust. Slowly was losing her throughout the day, but at least if Sergio had went, he would have still had Lily. He would have at least been kind of similarly to like how he like kind of perceives Caleb and Leah, kind of like I'm aware that they're close. I'm gonna sit on it. I'm gonna chill out. I'm gonna but pounce on the opportunity when it presents itself. Um, in most scenarios, I would bash somebody for losing an ally. But in this is one of the rare instances where it's almost like that would have probably been better for his perception, because now both Lily and Mikey are separated and can spread a bunch of anti-Ryu what's the word, propaganda about the
Hmm.
whole cast now, which like it's shocking because like preseason, so many people wanted to talk to Ryu. So many people like like were in love with this guy. Like saw his intro videos, like saw that this is like a very chill guy. Like they want to meet. Even Morgan themselves was very excited to get to meet Ryu. So it's like his and I've played with him and he was messy in that, but he was messy not in like he was going out of his way to like do the most. Like, but he was telling lots of people the same thing verbatim. He told me I was his number one. He'd tell Jared, Cam, Xander, Tawny, word for word, the exact same thing. Maybe switching a couple words around to make it somewhat personal to each person. But was so easily clocked round one. But at least was still trusted because he seemed to be chill. Um, I've been all over the place. I just got to give him a rating. I feel like a two makes sense. Um, I was originally going to give him like a three, maybe a four. Um, Ryu is such an weird person to rank because you look at this tribe swap. It's not bad for him.
He gets Kayla back,
Yeah.
but I need to read more of that relationship. I'm also docking him points for not reading his shit.
And then also, like, everyone was over there thinking that they were about to go into a merge. So does him doing this big theatrical thing right before what they're thinking is merge, does that help his case or hurt his case?
Hurt.
It was not going to be good because even, and this is fucked, I want to make him lower because I I enlighten them to the history of Spellbound Survivor. I give them a little history lesson that every season, what we do at Merge is we do a life tribal, and someone becomes the first juror or the Merge boot, if you will. And Ryu still goes through with it, knowing that that is a possibility of what's going to happen tonight. When you all see, they all agree, oh, the Merge is coming, pulls this off.
He was too obsessed with this flashy move and going balls to the wall that he was too hyper focused on that to think long term about the move and how the repercussions of going a boom would affect his game. I think I I don't think he's a one because obviously he wasn't going home, but I'm like comparing him to Mikey is what I'm doing. Uh, I'm
It's like
debating between like a two and a three.
here's the thing. Mikey, yes, doesn't end up going home, but Mikey's position did not change or like it only ever so slightly
Mm.
elevated to where like he's not like c devoid of any positive qualities. Like or like he still has some faults activity wise, whereas Ryu had good stock. Like we were talking about last Stockwatch
He
where we
was
were
he got the cursed spot, the cursed new spot. It's cursed.
yeah, like he ends up like dropping. So like his position before this versus afterwards. His reputation before this towards afterwards. Like I don't see this new swap tribe like bashing him like because he's now in a favorable position, but I could see this tribal coming back up at a later date and people just being like, you did do that, didn't he? He did just use that superpower just
I'll
because he
give
could
him
lose.
a two. I'm like debating like it's a two. It's like almost like a three because I like the move of getting out Morgan, but the way he did it was just so horrible. Also, I've been thinking about like what the worst move of the season is, and hearing you say that like it makes sense that this could is like in contention for worst move because I was looking at all the other boots and it's like um
Like there's still quite a bit
all
of game left, but just if anybody would have taken the time to sit there and think about what that advantage is and what it can possibly do, because I don't think there's really, this cast isn't shy to ask questions. Like,
agree.
Oh, 1,000%.
please, like with something like this, ask questions. See what, like, when everyone else is over here, like, he's over here asking 20,000 questions about a condom that does absolutely nothing. But when it
Got no
comes to something
information.
where it says you can control somebody at tribal, okay, I'm gonna equip it now and use it at the first chance I get.
It's like, yeah, right now this probably is the leader because like there's the interesting thing with worst move when you give that award away. There's two different types of worst moves. There are worst moves on premise, just like you're selling this move as a headline of a newspaper, like how dumb it sounds. Just like when you think about it and break it down, like what you're basically doing. And then they're bad moves because they backfired or like the effect of that move. It could even be a good move on paper, but the effect it has, like, can force you to be in a worse position and could directly result in you getting sent home. Like, this could be a move that argued from both perspectives, as something that is bad on premise because it exponentially grows his target. It pisses off a handful of people in the process. It does it even all for Sergio, which like is coming out of this tribal. And might I say this is my segue to Sergio. Sergio Stocks, baby. He's doing because what's crazy is that this is now the second tribal he has attended. And both times he was in a modicum of danger. First time, he ends up not being receiving any votes. He at first was being pegged as the person who voted in the minority, which was quickly cleared up as like it was not Sergio. It was Aaliyah who voted with Marvin to get rid of Tommy. Um, and then Sergio now this round, he was in danger. He seemed to be the person who, without Ryu using this advantage, was potentially going home. But then with Ryu blowing up stuff into smithereens, Lily at Tribal, for as mad as she was about what happened, she did not say a single bad thing about Sergio. She made it very clear in that rant afterwards, like Sergio, respect it, got no hard feeling for you. Respect the movie, gotta do what you gotta do. And they talk it out after the damn thing to the point where Sergio's like, it would be nice if I could get something going with Lily. If we really trust each other, we can get some pieces of information from all sides of the of the cast. You know, Sanam being on one tribe, Lily being on one, him being on, you know, his Relube people. And honestly, you could argue of the four people who survived this tribal, Sergio played the least sloppy of all of them. Like you could argue this. While I do think Lily was doing better work in the rounds leading up to this to be safe, to make her a decision maker, the aftermath of this tribal council leads lots of people to not trusting one another, but nobody has any reason to be mad at Sergio because Sergio was just chill, which is a huge contrast to how he's talking in his prod chat because he's constantly kind of like selling himself for how like maniacal of a game he's going to be playing, how he's going to pay back the person who played as an advantage of him by voting them off later down the road and sending like the Luis Belcher gif of her laughing with like the fire behind her. Like Sergio is never the person doing the most, even if his instincts, like it is Project and the way he was selling himself up like beforehand, and maybe like his reputation in games before this would lead him to be more making more haphazard measures. I am like disappointed in other players for playing as sloppily as they are, and usually I dock players when they get saved or their positions improve due to other people's poor decision making. Like by kind of overtime, as I posted, have given more credit to those people because they weren't making erratic or irrational decisions. So someone like Sergio here does immediate damage control with Lily, in which Lily is not mad at all, and even confesses to Sergio to himself, which Sergio's like, wait, why are you mad at me at all? You were about to vote me off. Which I, like, why would Lily say that? But honestly, I know I gave Sergio sixes in prior rounds, and I can be maybe depending on what y'all have to say, I could give him a seven, maybe even higher than a seven. A crazy idea, but like he's swapped into a good position on this new tribe and has a not only a decent, I think a pretty good chance of making it to the merge, but I don't know if he'll be even an early merge boot right now, which oh good for Sergio, my guy. But Jared, you could say what you feel about Sergio.
I mean, Sergio has the potential to be the merge boot only if he um isn't active during the live night, which also I have a scheduling question for travel tomorrow. Remind me. Um, but yeah, I mean, he potentially could be the merge boot if he's not there. It's just a work schedule. Um, I think Sergio once again said, "I wish you would have told me" or something about this. He maybe didn't. I don't know. I could be thinking of.
He did to Lily. He did to Lily. And he even made it a point
Okay.
that he's saying this again because this was the same thing that happened like during the Marvin boot. But yeah, continue.
Okay, so hold on, you remind me because this is what I was frustrated with Sergio because he says this shit and it bugs me. Um, he wishes that Lily would have told him about voting Mikey and he would have voted that way. Or
I think maybe because that's the case, so that's just like if they're buy I mean here's the thing. If they're buying into it, they're buying into it. Like it's like
yeah.
Marvin clearly was gunning for Tom. And him saying, "Oh, I would have done it." Like, but he's only saying it to us. I don't think he's telling it to other people, or at least maybe to like Aaliyah, maybe. Um, but and maybe after the fact when it seemed like Tommy was going to be the more likely boot on the OG tribes. Um, and maybe I could clarify with Sergio or Lily about that and who, but like literally, he has no excuse. He can't say, "Oh, if I knew you were voting for Mikey, I would have voted Mikey with you," because you saw Ryu announce in real time that Morgan had to vote for Mikey, and he heard in real time that Lily, being handcuffed to Morgan, has to vote with Morgan in order for her vote to count. So I guess maybe he could be referring to the revotes and he could have just voted for Mikey then and there. But like Lily, after this conversation, is feeling good with Sergio.
Hmm.
Like I don't know if that's gonna stick. That seems to be the problem. It's like first arriving on the tribe, he does pretty good work, but then activity slips a little bit, and maybe he's in a more dangerous position, but like someone else is playing super messy around him, which like if they go to tribal, I don't think Sergio goes. I don't know the reason Sergio would go from his swap tribe if they were to go to tribal council. But continue with your thoughts on Jerry. I mean, your thoughts on Sergio, Jerry.
Um, I think long term, I could see him making swap and not being the first, not being live night casualty. Um, but I think the issue with Sergio is that he doesn't really have anyone on his side. Like, I don't think he has a number one. Maybe Ryu, but Ryu becomes a big threat. So obviously, if they take out Ryu, then who the fuck does Sergio have? He might have Caleb, but Caleb would trust more people than him. Um, but I mean, I have to give Sergio credit because again, he was planting seeds of why Morgan is such a good player to Ryu to then get Ryu to do all this crap that he did. Um, and then he was immediately able to repair the relationship with Lily, swap into a tribe with them, and get Caleb back. I'll agree with the six. I don't think he did anything I think that he played it not bad this round.
Pawnee, you're closing up this part of the Stockwatch.
Oh, there's more to the Stockwatch?
We go over to the next tab. Well, I'll explain more when we get there, but it's not that much longer. But yeah,
Okay. Um, I feel like Sergio is just another one of those ones. There's just not too much to say there, at least especially that y'all haven't already covered. Like he, I believe, was gonna be the one to go this week had Ryu not done what Ryu did. Um, and it's like just trying not to put into account, I guess, anything that's happened since like the end of this tribal. I've like been kind of like flip-flopping back and forth between like a 5 and a 6, just due to the fact that it's like looking at how we have Morgan at a 7. Like, is Sergio like really right under Morgan? Like, when Sergio, granted, Morgan did leave, but that's irrelevant. Like, but Sergio was gonna leave, which is the relevant part. I don't know. I
you know,
think
us giving
But
Morgan
he
sevens
aligned
like
himself with the guy who could do all the stuff.
yeah,
So it's good for him.
and like what I think the sevens for Morgan's like honoring the dead. You know, it's like you say nice things at their funeral. You don't say bad things at people's funerals when they die. You know, it's like
you
Morgan
can't
did so.
say that when we have Aston at 1, Issa sitting at 4, Marvin at a 2, Zach at a 1.
But hey, we never did the one with Zach. Okay, we didn't do that episode. Um, but no, it's like to kid on that analogy. Like this is just like a Shakespearean tragedy. Just like nothing leading up to tribal led me to believe Morgan can go home. Their name was in the atmosphere, but I didn't think was actually going to. Honestly, and now I kind of like I keep want to bump Sergio up a spot because he does a lot of work to try to sell Morgan as this big target and really gets none of the blowback for it, even though he's a part of this as well. Like he's associated with this person who makes this crazy big move. But while Mikey and Lily are looking at Ryu, like, or at least, well, Lily for sure, and Mikey hasn't really said all that much on the matter, but like Ryu being like a jerk, like just like being like showboaty and being too much. Like they're not mad at Sergio. Like Mikey's giving props in real time, like respect the move. Like Mikey thought he was going home, but I don't know. I've been a Sergio apologist this whole season though. Like
You actually
I,
have.
I've been really defending this man because like he's never the one making the most mistakes, and like I which is I could say for like other people that I've rated, but just like I see potential in Sergio. You know, like I could see a world where like lots of people are beefing with each other, and Sergio is just like doing that thing with
But
his hands,
Sergio
like
can also just be the easy consensus boot because
he
of
could be,
activity.
he could be. I know he can,
Because
but
he
it's
He,
like
almost has been
yeah, exactly.
and
twice.
Twice.
and he could easily like people need the easy boots. They do it, and they don't want to take a shot at anyone actually yet. And they're like, we don't want to let this man keep sliding through, so let's just take him out.
Yeah, I think there's
I was
lots
gonna
of
by
there.
six. It's like a low six, high five, but I'm staying at the six.
I think Sergio has like lots of like variants. I think
Yes.
there's people who like can do really well or do really poorly. There's people who I think will consistently do well. Sergio on this cast, you know, so many things could happen. I could see him assume a wide array of placements. He could have been a very early pre-juror, like a first boot. You know, he could have been, you know, sniped around one of the first or second swap. He could be merge boot. He could be like a mid. Like he, I don't know where Sergio's going in this game. And so it's like trying to assess all of those worlds. Like which one are we living in? Which the 5 is fair. But as we've completed the stock watch, we are going to move over to this stock right here.
Oh,
And
that one.
so this, Tawny, we will be assessing who we believe to be the top four contenders of that specific round. So as you've seen right here, Lily, Sanan, and Caleb have maintained a standings on the top four. Eventually, once you start getting down to numbers, we'll bump that down to three contenders and then maybe two, maybe one. But until then, we each discuss who we believe should be in our personal top fours. I'll then take all the rankings into consideration and order them accordingly. Um, we can move all the people right here and eliminate people one by one. We can eliminate people one by one on the board. And
You don't
just
want to
say,
keep Tommy in there?
so who do you want to eliminate? Who do you think's not a contender?
Um,
Because there's people who we didn't rank well, and one of them is Sanan.
I think Sanam's still up there long term.
I don't know. I think I have like two locks for me who I'm like not debating. I'm debating position in the top four, but these two are like for sure in my top four, and that's Lily and Caleb.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that that's
It's just
probably
I'm
correct for
debating
all of
putting
us. It's
Caleb
just a,
above
yeah,
Lily for this round.
putting a man up top.
Oh, that'd also be a first. But like
Um,
Lily and Caleb are like locks for me to be in the four.
so would they be top one and would that be the top two? Or would that just be
Yeah.
like those for sure? Lily one,
Probably.
Caleb two.
Yeah. Because this round was a mess.
Tony, do you agree with that? Because
With
I
them
got
in the top two, yeah.
in that order, Lily, Caleb.
Um, I I think I would put Caleb above Lily.
Hmm.
I was just saying Lily Caleb just because like I was
Oh,
just
okay.
saying their names, not those are
That's
just
the order.
locked in my top two, and
Gotcha.
I'm debating the order.
No, I felt that because I'm
I
like
am debating putting Caleb above
I'm also
Lily.
considering putting Caleb above Lily because it's like this round was a huge mess. Took another huge loss. Had already lost Issa, who was, which like to be fair, everybody on that tribe saw her as her number one, as like their respective number ones. Unfortunately, lost Lily's true number one in Issa, which could have made this swap even simpler if it was Issa here instead of like Mikey or whatever the hell. Like maybe the swap tribes all look
True.
different. But then loses Morgan as well while Ryu is attempting to rebuild with his relationship with Jae-won, um, she is like she is not as eager to mend that bridge. Whereas like Caleb really didn't lose anything with the swap. He's only gained some favor with a Jeremy and Edward long term, and now is in another swap where he's continuing to build more connections. I'm kind of inclined to put Caleb at number one. That's probably my thing. I'd probably put Caleb and Lily. That would be my
Yeah, I think they're top two. I think I'm fine with Caleb Lily.
Caleb
Caleb
Lily.
first, Lily second.
So then, okay, so we take those two off of here, and then we could start eliminating people, make a short list of who the other contenders are, and then from there we can do our own personal rankings, like who each of our votes go to. Are there people that like we are not considering at all as contenders? I know there's some people I'm not, but I don't.
I think Mikey and Tommy for sure need to go.
Agree.
I agree with that. Honestly, I think Ryu has to drop. Like putting him at number two, I still feel good about the reasons we were putting Ryu at number two. Because I'm coming off of a solid pre-merge to what seemed like a very favorable swap. I thought
He was in a
he
good
was
position, and then
skyrocketing.
he got cursed from being like the new entry into the top four.
Oh
See,
yeah, yeah.
but
Because it
Ryu,
keeps. So basically, we're choosing who we give the new cursed spot to.
well, here's the thing. I'm debating putting two new people in. Who those two new
Mm.
people are, I don't know.
because Sanam has reasons to drop as well, because this is the lowest range she's ever gotten. She's gotten an average of
Like,
5, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
So she is in short term in a lot of danger. I think have her touch merge. She might be. Here's what I think best case scenario for Sanam is. Jared, you may not get this analogy. I think Tawny will. She could be the Morgan Reed of the season, be a part of the
Yeah.
majority alliance, but have too much win equity. So clearly, even by even the alliance's estimations of how the jury's looking at the game, is like this person cannot possibly make it to the end. It might be so blindly loyal to her people that she gets sniped at the 11th hour.
Well,
More
Brian's already thinking about it.
exactly. So it's like
Hmm.
it's even worse than Morgan. At least Sam and Jason were like waiting and waited till 4, which like was very risky that they tried to do a 2-1-1, which they succeed. Like I'll give them credit for that, but like I that's kind of the trajectory I see
Oh,
for
flick.
Sanam, which worries me. But of the 4, high
On,
key, okay,
can we let's
let's
go
eliminate a
through
couple
and
more people.
talk and like narrow it down even more.
I agree. All right, so Aaliyah, I think just looking at this list, the person I'd probably next eliminate, I honestly probably eliminate Edward and Sergio. I think that Edward, I think, was probably the worst ranked of the players, I guess, aside from Tommy, from the Swap Tribe, has not done like actively bad work. I think it's both of them. I think they both actively haven't done like terrible things, and I think have been benefited by other people doing worse, um, and have room to definitely improve because they're not directly involved in much of the drama or much of the conflicts that are going on in the game right now. Um, I don't
Looking
think
at the
have
list, I feel like I've narrowed it down to I think three
mhm,
in contention.
yeah.
That would maybe be Aaliyah, Bryant, and Jeremy.
I was kind of looking there too. With my top being probably Bryant third, maybe Jeremy fourth, because I think Jeremy did a lot of recovering with,
Hmm.
Aaliyah and Caleb. Um,
I was just listening in alphabetical order.
yeah, no, that's fair. Um, I'd probably, if I had to narrow that down a little bit more, I would say Edward, Sergio, and high keys, and I'd probably eliminate from this short
I,
list.
I feel like Edward, Jay,
Oh, damn,
Kevin, Sanam, Sergio all just need to be eliminated.
Pawnee, do you concur with that statement,
I
or is it something you see that we're not
no,
considering?
it's like I aside honestly, like aside from Caleb and Lily, it you and like with the list that we have left in front of us, honestly, you could spin a wheel and I could be like there's most of them that I could be like, yeah, okay. Like I
I
do
would
think agree,
agree.
like Edward and Sergio definitely not there, but like take them off and it's like spin a wheel and I feel like
Honestly,
you could make an argument.
I think Bryant third. I think Bryant has been in a safe position, a pretty solid position the whole game. Never the best, but not the worst. I think he's cognizant enough to know he has to take a shot at them eventually. I don't think he's getting comfortable. I think he's constantly trying to better improve his position in the game. He now has the sap gun, which he's choosing to lie about, which like I guess Sanam didn't fall for it, but Kevin seems to buy into this. And now with him being with Jeremy, trying to re-solidify that bond as well, depending on whom he can forge relationships with on this new swap tribe. With J1 now coming back in, he, I think, then becomes the most powerful person on his swap tribe, both being a part of the bananas and now having this advantage and now having J1 as now his like brand new number one. Maybe he can, this is the round he would need with J1 to get J1 confidently on his side over Kevin and Sanam, because like Sanam's not here, and maybe Sanam might get sniped if they lose. Um, I my argument would be Bryant for third of the people that we have here, and then we can kind of like assess all of them afterwards.
I'm fine with Bryant in top three. Because really it's like Caleb, Lily, Gap.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with Bryant.
What about you, Tawny?
I'm also fine with that.
Yeah. Good job, Bryant. Now stay there,
Proud of you.
please. Proud of you,
Ow.
Bryant.
I'm
I
not
love
allowed to give him a
I
compliment.
love my top three being the top three. Finally, we got Brian up there. I was able to justify it. Those are my picks for each tribe. Preseason. Now with this short list, J1, I'd probably be because there's so many people from Reluve still on the board. Like I like swap
Yeah,
Reluve.
but they've just been separated.
Yeah, and J1's now on exile. Like yeah, he has this idol that like still he could buy his way into the merge. Like whether like if he loses,
Hmm.
he could just like bam, I play this idol, I'm safe. I'm making it to merge, like whatever the hell. Um, he might not need it, because like Kevin and Bryant both have reasons to keep J1 over an Aaliyah, a Mikey, or a Tommy. So even if they were to lose, he might not even need it. But just because he will be I have to like preemptively like make this at best an under the radar one for this episode because like he really has nothing to do. He has nobody talking to him. I think he wanted to do a confessional, but like I can't until like much later tonight. Um, my vote of these five would probably be Jeremy as the fourth.
See,
But
you've been trying to get Bryant into this top four. I've low-key been like a Jeremy like fan and like trying to get him in the top four, but it's like never made sense to put him in the top four. But
Mhm.
I've always secretly been like, he kind of deserves it.
Yeah,
So I'm fine with Jeremy in top four,
yeah,
especially this round.
I think mixed. I think that's better. Like, yeah, some people were like, Aaliyah was like docking him for the challenge, but I think genuinely just doing good work and building up his relationships. But Tawny, do you have any objections to that? Or is there somebody else in this short list that you want to bring into the fold as like, no, but this person is here? I know you said you want to spin a wheel, but we cannot do it.
No, because I mean, like, I think the only other person that, like, maybe, like, actual argument could be made for is Sanam, but it's like, again, she's dropped so low. And then also with Bryant already, like, wanting to go after her, it's not looking as great for her as what it has in the past.
And like Kevin too, like Bryant even said like, oh, I don't trust Kevin. He interrupts me. Well, to be fair, this is round six stuff, but it's like he is still like it's not just Sanam now. It's like Bryant's distrusts a good chunk of that alliance, both from just clearly being fourth, but also like individually distrusting certain members. But they trust him. But Jeremy's not subject to that really, and has had really like the has the really the best of both worlds right now. He has the bananas as a very solid core alliance. Um, he is like it was just expressing his frustrations with them in his prod chat. But doesn't like I don't know. I feel like Jeremy deserves it. I think Jeremy's done good work. I think it's about time we get Jeremy up in there. But do we concur? Do we agree?
Yeah.
Yay! Good for you, Jeremy. And now we will see if the new to the contender list is real, because that means now we have to replace two people instead of one.
Hey, Tawny, can you send Ryu a shrug emoji?
Oh. And with that, we will be sending all the viewers of the Stockwatch a shrug emoji as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Stockwatch. This has been Jacob Armstrong here with Jared Voorhees and Tawny Newcomer. We are going to see how this new tribe mixes things up. Obviously, we've already mentioned a couple things that might like give a insight as to who's doing good and who's in danger. But we'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a good night.